We'll get started with our practice. So we're going to do a gentle restorative class. So if you don't know what restorative yoga is just a really, it's like gentle yoga, but you're holding poses for longer and you use your wider range of props. So I suggested to have a blanket and 2 pillows and a couple blocks. So I will be using a yoga bolster, which is like a big cushion. So that's where you'll use your pillows. So anyways, so we're gonna get started today in Supta Baddha Konasana on our backs. So you just lie on your back and then knees are wide, soles of your feet together. So we'll ground our spine into the mat. So you can use your pillows or your blocks to support your knees if you'd like. And we'll start to ground into our practice, into our breathing. So deep inhale in, into our belly, expanding up through our chest, and exhaling out through your nose or mouth. So you can keep your arms by your side or have one hand on your heart and one hand on your belly if you'd like. You can just continue to breathe in, slow, filling up completely, and exhaling out completely. And just putting any worries of the day aside, and just focus in on the present moment and your breath. And as I said, with your breathing practice, that helps to calm the nerves and helps you keep you present. We'll take a few more cycles of breath in our lying meditation pose. Continue to just breathe slowly. You might want to set an intention for your practice. It could just be, you could just focus on a specific aspect of your practice or just think of a specific word, something that would resonate with you. Take one more inhale in, filling up completely. And then exhaling out your nose or mouth, breathing out all your air. You'll slowly shift to a fetal position, and then we'll rise back up to a seat. Actually, no, we'll stay lying down, sorry. So we'll stay lying down. So we're gonna do that, it's called that dead bug core series. So we're going to bring our right arm above our head and then lift our left leg, keeping our left foot flexed, and then release, and then we'll switch. Actually, your arm goes up halfway, not all the way back. So just keep alternating the motion. Working our core, grounding our spine into the ground. Do a couple more rounds. One more inhale in, and then exhaling out completely. Now we'll roll over to one side into a fetal position, and then we'll lift up to a seated position. So we'll sit cross-legged, grounding our sit bones into the mat. And then from here, we're going to start a little flow with our breath. So we'll inhale, sweep our arms up tall. Exhale, side bend to the right. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, side bend to the left. So we're going to flow from side to side. Inhale, up. Exhale, side bend to the right. Inhale, up. Exhale, side bend to the left. Do one more round. Inhale, right up. Exhale, side bend to the right. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, side bend to the left. And then inhale, rise up tall. And then we'll bring exhale, hands to heart center. And we'll do a couple movements like this. So we'll inhale, sweep our arms up tall. Exhale, hands to heart center. And one more time. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, hands to heart center. And then release. So we're going to do a twist now, and we'll just move with our breath. Inhale, rise up tall. Exhale, twist to the right, gaze over your right shoulder. Inhale, tall. Exhale, twist to the left. So just move in your own way. And with your twists, it might be a longer inhale and exhale. Just kind of move with your own breath, taking your time. We'll do one more round. And then inhale, rise up. Exhale, hands to heart center. And then from here, we're going to do our seated forward fold. So inhale, sweep your arms up tall. And then exhale, hinge at your hips, forward fold. Releasing our neck, hands on the mat. And then we'll walk our hands to the right. And then walk our hands to the left. Then back to center. And curl your spine up one vertebra at a time. Head comes last, shoulders pulled back. Now we'll make our way to our tabletop position. I'll move to the side. So make sure your wrists are directly under your shoulders, knees directly under hips. Having a long spine from the crown of your head to your tailbone. And then from here, we're going to do a little cat and cow flow sequence. So on our inhale, we'll drop our belly for cow pose. Exhale, spine curls up, head drops for cat, and then we'll lower down into child's pose. Inhale, rise up into tabletop, then drop your belly to cow. Exhale to cat, into child's pose. And just continue to move with your breath. You can add additional movement if you'd like. Just keep moving with your breath. It's like a moving meditation. Do another round. Then when you're ready, back into tabletop. Okay, from our tabletop, we're going to do a low lunge sequence. So if you have your blocks, you can grab them if you'd like. And then from your tabletop, we'll step our right foot forward in between our hands. You can place your hands underneath on top of the blocks if you'd like, on any level. And then from here, we're going to rise up tall to our low lunge with our shoulders pulled down. Make sure your leg is straight back and your right leg's about that 90-degree angle. You may have to walk your foot forward a little bit. And then on our exhale, we release our hands onto the mat or blocks. And then we'll extend our right leg. You'll have to walk your foot forward. Your heel is into the mat and your toes face towards the ceiling. Making sure you have a micro bend in your knee. You don't want to hyperextend your knee. And then when you're ready, on your exhale, hinge forward, forehead towards your leg for a half splits. Feeling a nice hamstring stretch. And then on our inhale, we'll come back into that low lunge and then step back into tabletop. Then we'll do the left leg. So left leg between our hands, hands on top of the blocks or on the mat, extending our right leg back, making sure your left leg's at about that 90-degree angle. You may have to walk your foot forward a little bit, or that left foot, yes. Then when you're ready, you can square off your hips, lift your arms up tall, and press forward into those hips, feeling a nice hip stretch, shoulders pulled down. Then on our next exhale, release your hands to the block or the mat, and then we'll straighten our left leg, walk it forward, and then we'll lift our toes up towards the ceiling, micro bend in that front leg. And then on your next exhale, hinge forward, forehead towards your leg, and relaxing your neck. And then on our next inhale, we'll walk our foot back into that low lunge and then step back into tabletop. And placing the blocks aside if you use them. All right, from our tabletop, we're gonna tuck our toes under and lift our hips up for one of our very few downward facing dogs of class. So make sure your hands are about shoulder distance apart, feet hip distance apart. And you have a nice bend in your knees. You can bend them as much as you need to. And make sure your spine is long from the crown of your head to your tailbone. You can start to pedal your heels out, shaking your head yes and no. And just moving with your breath, finding that warming breath, that ujjayi breath. Take one more inhale in, exhale out completely, and then we'll tiptoe our toes up to the top of the mat. And we'll make sure your feet are hip distance apart, and we'll grab opposite elbows for a ragdoll pose. So you can sway from side to side, keeping a bend in your knees. You can rock front to back, side to side. Exhale, release your hands. Inhale, curl your spine up, one vertebra at a time. And then shoulders pull back, head comes last. All right, so we're gonna do a couple standing poses here, and then we'll make our way back to the mat. So from here, this is gonna be some standing, flowing like poses. So let's find our mountain pose, feet about hip distance apart. So on our inhale, we'll come to a T with the arms to a T. Exhale, we're gonna squat back like we're going to a chair pose. Arms come together, palms to touch. Inhale back to a T. Exhale, release your arms. Inhale to a T. Exhale, palms together, squat back into chair, palms together. Inhale to a T. Exhale, release. Inhale to a T, and then exhale. Chair pose, palms together. Inhale back to a T, and then release your arms. Okay, we're gonna do another little flow sequence. So we're gonna find our mountain pose with our feet hip distance apart, arms by our side. And then we're gonna lift our arms up, and we're gonna lift up our arms and then come to our tippy toes on our inhale. Exhale, slowly with control, release your arms back into mountain pose. Inhale to your tippy toes, high mountain pose. Exhale, release. Do one more time. Inhale, rise up. And then exhale, release. Since we're standing, let's do a tree pose on each side. So let's ground into our right foot. And then we'll take our left foot and take any variation of tree you'd like. Remember your kickstand. So either your left toes are on the mat and your left heel is touching your right ankle, or you can go to right inner thigh or right inner calf. And just making sure your left knee is pointing towards the left side of the room. Palms to touch, or lifting your arms, growing your branches, focusing on a non-moving object. And then one more inhale in. Exhale out, slowly release from your tree pose, shake it out, and we'll do the other side. Grounding into our left foot and taking any variation you'd like. The kickstand, inner calf, inner thigh, and then pointing our right knee towards the right side of the room. Hands to heart center, or growing your branches. Take one more inhale in. Exhale out completely, and let's release. Shake it out. Let's do a couple half sun salutations, and then we'll make our way back to the mat somehow. So inhale, sweep your arms up tall, high mountain pose. Exhale, hinge at your hips, forward fold. Inhale, palms to shins or thighs for a halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale with a flat back, rise up, sweep your arms up, high mountain pose. Exhale, hands to heart center. Let's do a couple more on your own. Inhale, high mountain pose. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, high mountain pose. Exhale, hands to heart center. One more time. Inhale, high mountain pose. Exhale, hinge at your hips, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. And then inhale, high mountain pose. Exhale, hands to heart center. Okay, so we're gonna do that yogi squat, or it's called malasana. So if you have your blocks, grab one. You might need it. So remember, to get into your yogi squat, you want to step your feet as wide as the mat, and your feet are in a 45-degree angle. So heels in, toes out. And then on your exhale, we'll squat down, your tailbone tucked under. You can bring your hands to heart center. If you only want to go halfway, that's okay. If you want more, squat down. Keep squatting down. You can stay here. You can keep your elbows and inner thighs, or if you want a little support, bring that block on either level 1 or level 2. You can sit on it and then press your elbows into your inner thighs. Hands to heart center, keeping that tall spine. That's the goal in this pose, is to keep a tall spine. And if you need the support of the props, that's okay. I like the support of the block in this pose personally, because it can be a little bit hard on like your lower back or your in your hips. Take one more inhale in. Exhale out completely, and then we'll release our hands to the mat and raise up your hips up into a forward fold. And then we'll walk our feet in into that hip distance apart. And then from here, we'll go inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, hands to the mat, feet step back into downward facing dog. And then inhale, release your knees to the mat to tabletop. And then from here, we're going to take a child's pose. So if you have your props, this is a really nice variation in restorative yoga. So if you have your pillows, you can bring them right in front of you. So you set up your props as so. If you want your blanket, you can place on top of your pillows as well. So it depends how big your pillows are. If you have those really huge king size pillows, you might just need one, or you can stack two on top of the other. You can place your blanket on top for even more support. So you'll come into tabletop, and your props will be right under your torso. And then you'll walk your knees wide and then lower your torso onto your props, resting your head on your props. If you feel like your head's coming off, you can grab one of your blocks and place it in front and give you a little bit more room so your head's fully supported. Your arms can extend in front of you, or you can just place them behind you. So in restorative yoga, we hold poses for a couple of minutes. So, and I'll guide you out of it. So the challenge is with restorative yoga, you might get lost and your mind might wander, and that's totally normal. You just want to focus in on your breath. That helps bring you back in the present. And if you need to adjust your props, that's okay. You want to increase or decrease. As I said it before, it's that restorative, you want to be as comfortable as possible. And so we'll spend about a minute more in this pose, and we'll guide you out. Take a few more rounds of breath here. Just one more inhale in. Exhale out completely. And then we'll slowly rise up to our hands and knees. And then we'll take a couple cat and cow flows. With your spine, just release our back. So we're going to keep the same setup here with our props. If you want to increase your pillows or blankets or whatnot, that's okay. So I'm going to change the view here. So from here, we're going to make sure you may have to walk back a little bit, and you're still in tabletop. And then you want to drop your right hip towards your props, like at the end of your props. And so your legs are kind of like in a zigzag, right? Pointing towards the left. And then you square off your chest, and then you lower down to your props. So your props are supporting your torso again. So it's like a gentle little twist here. So your head can turn to the left or to the right, depending on how your neck feels, or your forehead could just be placed on the mat, on the props. Just find your comfortable level here. As I said, increase or decrease your props accordingly. You can also do this pose without the props, I believe. You can do this without the props actually, but gives you that extra support when you have them. We have about a minute left. Take a few more rounds of breath here. Take one more inhale in. Exhale out completely. And we'll slowly rise back up into tabletop. So we're going to do the other side. So you want to make sure this is a good way to describe it. So the end of your props are like right underneath your belly button. And then you can lower your left hip at the end, close to the end of your props, and then you can adjust your props, make sure it's against that left hip. And then when you're ready, lower down. You can rest the left side of your head on the props or the right side, depending on how your neck feels, or you can rest your forehead. And we'll hold this for a couple minutes. Just find your variation and what feels good. You have about a minute left. Take one more inhale in. Exhale out completely. And then we'll slowly rise up back into our tabletop. And this time we'll place our props aside, just keeping there's two variations I'm going to show you. So you can place your pillows aside. So we're going to do Sphinx pose. So there's a supported version. So you can do regular Sphinx pose or the supported version. So if you have your blanket, just make sure it's only folded over once, or depending on the size, you may have to fold it multiple times. But then you'll roll it on the short edge, and then you'll place it across your mat. And then you'll lower down on your belly. So you want to have your prop right under your armpits. So we'll lower down in the Sphinx pose. You don't have to use the prop for this if you don't want to. That's okay. So just make sure your arms are that shoulder distance apart. Shoulders pull back, or your legs are long behind you, and you're pressing your hips into the mat, and your gaze is forward. And we'll hold this for a couple minutes. Just continue to breathe nice and easy. We have about a minute left. Take one more inhale in. Exhale out completely. And then we'll slowly rise back up into tabletop, placing our props aside. And then from our tabletop, you can move your spine in a way that feels good to release your back. And then from here, we'll find our way back to our belly. So we're going to do a pose called Sleeping Swan. So we're going to take our right leg and just start to bring your right knee towards your right armpit, but you want to keep that right leg at about a 90-degree angle and making sure your hips are grounded into the mat. And then you relax your forehead towards your hands. This is a really nice, gentle hip opener here. And then your left leg's just extended behind you. If you want a little bit more extra stretch here, you can start to bring that right elbow towards your right knee. It's like a little bit of a, side stretch here. We have about a minute left. Take one more inhale in. Exhale out completely. And then slowly, if you're doing that little side bend, slowly make your way back to center, releasing your right leg. We'll do the other side. So your left leg, you bring that left knee towards left armpit, but you want to make sure your left leg's at that 90-degree angle and your left foot is flexed. So this is a good place to stay with your forehead on your top of your hands, or you can do that little side bend. So that left elbow towards your left knee. You have about a minute left. Take one more inhale in, exhale out completely, and then slowly release back to center, and then your left leg straight behind you. And then from here, let's bend both knees, flex both feet, and then we'll windshield wiper our legs from side to side. And release your legs, and let's come back into a tabletop. And then let's take a seat with our legs extended in front of us. So our next restorative posture is a supported seated forward fold. So you can use as many props as you like if you have blocks, blankets, or your pillows. So what you want to do is grab your props and stack them on top of your thighs. So the goal here is to be supported when you do your forward fold. So once you're ready, so I'm just going to use my cushion and my blanket here. And then we'll sweep our arms up tall, then exhale, hit your hips, and then you'll rest your arms and then release your neck. So you can add or decrease your props as you see fit. This is as I said in restorative yoga, you want to be as comfortable as possible. And you'll feel that nice gentle stretch in your lower back and in your hamstrings. We have about a minute left here. Take one more inhale in. Exhale out completely, then slowly roll your spine up one vertebra at a time. That comes last, and then place your props aside for now. And then we'll lower onto our spine. We'll keep our knees bent, feet flat on the floor. And then from here, we'll lift our feet up, and then we have that little tabletop with our shins. Tee out our arms or cactus your arms, and then lower your knees to the right for a gentle supine twist, grounding your shoulders into the mat. Gaze can be up or to the left. Then inhale back up into center, and then we'll drop our knees to the left. Grounding your shoulders into the mat or gaze to the right. And then we'll lift our knees back up to center, hug our knees to chest, rocking our spine, rocking from side to side. And then from here, we'll rise back up and we'll do our last restorative posture. So there's two ways you can do this. So one of my favorite restorative postures, it's called supported fish pose. So you can use your pillow or your two blocks. So I'm going to demonstrate both options first, and you can choose which option you like best. So with your, for the blocks version, so you want to place them alongside on your mat. So you want to place one block on like level 2. And this will go in between your shoulder blades down your spine. And then the second block will support the back of your head. So you'll either have it on level 1 or level 2. And then to get into it, you'll keep your knees bent, feet flat on the floor, and then you'll lower down onto your props and just adjust them. Remember that one block is underneath your head and the other block is going along your spine between your shoulder blades. And you can keep your knees bent or extended. So option 2 is with your pillow. And it's basically the same concept. You just place it along your mat, and then you place your hips right against the edge of it, and then you lower down, and it supports your back and your head. So your legs are either extended or bent, and just find the variation that works for you. There is a unsupported version without the blocks, and that's not really a restorative posture, but this makes you pretty comfortable. And I do express this in the class. It's like my favorite restorative pose ever. It's a nice, gentle chest opener. And you can also take Supta Baddha Konasana legs in this pose too. So many variations. And remember, if this pose isn't working for you, you can just get yourself off the props and just keep your back on the mat, and just your knees are bent. Take a few more rounds of breath here. Take one more inhale in. Exhale completely. And then we'll roll off your props. And then place your props aside. So our last pose before Shavasana will be legs up the wall or legs up the imaginary wall. Or you can do waterfall pose with your block, and you'll place that underneath your sacrum. So pick whichever variation you like. If you do legs up the wall, just remember you just bring your hip close to the wall and then lift your legs up the wall. And then if it's imaginary wall, you just raise your legs up, feet are flexed, just pretend there's a wall behind you. And then if you're going onto the block, you just keep your knees bent, feet flat on the floor. Then you press into your feet, lift your hips up, and then place the block underneath your sacrum. And then lift your legs. This is a really nice way to unwind at the end of practice before Shavasana. We'll take a few more rounds of breath here. Take one more inhale in. Exhale out completely. And then slowly release from your pose. There's no rush. And you'll find your way into the resting pose of your choice, your Shavasana. So remember your options. You have an array of props you can use to support you. So you can use like a rolled up blanket underneath your knees. or you can use your pillows to support your knees in Supta Baddha Konasana, or your blocks, or you can take your rolled up blanket and place it along the back of your head, down your spine. There's so many variations, and just find what works for you, and get comfortable and ground into the mat, melting into the mat, and doing one last body scan from the crown of your head down through your neck, shoulders, arms, hands, your back, hips, legs, and feet. So today's meditation reading is kind of fitting for today, and it's a good reminder. It's from the book Journey to the Heart, the book I read out of frequently from Melody Beattie. It's called Recharge Your Battery. Rest when you're tired. Take a break when life stales. Take time to recharge your battery. Energy isn't something you have, it's something you are. To give and give and give, to put out what without taking in, depletes your battery. It drains you, runs you down. Running on a low battery is no longer necessary, because now we know how to live differently. Take the time to rest, renew, and refresh yourself. Isn't wasted time. Recharge. Choose what energizes you. Nature, a song, the voice of a friend, a nap, a hot bath, a cup of tea, a favorite program, a movie that makes you laugh or cry, a walk, a run, a prayer, a poem, a book that speaks to your soul. Actions that emerge from an energized source are easier. Go further, accomplish more. Let your work and love come from a vital spirit. Start to wiggle your fingers and your toes, your wrists and your ankles. Slowly transition into a fetal position on the right or left side, using your arm as a pillow. Take a few moments there. And then when you're ready, slowly rise up into your seated position, cross-legged. Take your time getting there. And we'll take one last cleansing breath. So inhale, sweep your arms up tall. Exhale, hands to heart center. Thank you so much for sharing your practice with me today. I hope it relaxed you and hopefully will energize you going into the weekend. The light in me honors the light in you. Namaste.